actually posted gains. So while the large cap indexes reached new highs, the tech heavy NASDAQ had the best week, which climbed over 2.5% by last week's end. And then also the global Dow went up a little over 2%. And then with consumer prices holding steady, inflation appears to be stagnant, which bodes well for the Fed holding interest rates. So essentially, if inflation is a little lower than expected, then the Federal Reserve doesn't want to increase interest rates. And then this may have prompted investors to sell long-term bonds and as price drop, which also hike yields higher. And so with price of crude oil went up from $44.30 per barrel to $46.68, and also gold went up from $12.12 to $12.28. And overall, the market has been doing really, really well so far. As I was saying in previous segments, this is the best year that I've ever seen in the stock market. And the Dow Jones is up 9.49% so far this year. NASDAQ is up 17.26%. S&P 500 up 9.85%. Russell 2000 up 5.28%. And then the global Dow is up 11.91%. So overall, this is the best year that I've ever seen in the stock market, and it's really not set to stop. So, you know, as I say in previous segments, there's really nothing to worry about, nothing to be concerned about in the near future. The market has been doing really well. Some people are afraid of a recession coming up, and I don't think you have much to be concerned with in the near future, at least. In 2 to 5 years down the road, we might see one. But I don't think one will happen, certainly not this year, and I don't even think it will happen next year. Maybe at the end of next year, but we'll see what happens. But as of right now, there are no significant indicators, as you can tell by this market report, that show that a recession is coming anytime soon. So today, top 5 personal finance books. So really laying out the top 5 books, my personal finance book review. And you know, some people have books that they like, but this is essentially my list. If I was to sit down with somebody, a new business owner, somebody who's looking to build their wealth, or somebody who's just looking for a better way to live, I would recommend these 5 books to them to read in order to live that fulfilling life that they want. And so one of the best ways to enhance your financial security is to keep up with your financial education. And one of the best ways to keep up with your financial education is to actually read books and just keep up with the different trends and things like that. So before last year, I actually never really sat down and read a personal finance book. Reading just wasn't a thing for me. Even in college, I never really read. It just wasn't a thing about me. But now, I can barely put down a book. Anytime I'm eating, anytime I'm brushing my teeth or anything like that, I'm always listening to something that's educational. Just because I never want to be broke. I never want to be in a state where I'm financially insecure. So that's why I have a passion and I have a drive to always keep up with my education. And you know, I've read so far this year, you know, with this fear of being broke and things like that, is I've read 15 personal finance books so far this year. And I'll be sharing with you 5 of them that I've read so far this year, and they ended up being on the top 5 of my personal finance book list. I mean, they've truly changed my life. They've changed the way I think. They changed the way I do things, the way I talk to people, the way I handle myself sometimes in certain situations. You know, and it really teaches you not just about the finance aspect, but just life in general. Just, you know, how to build a mindset of somebody who's, you know, proactive, willing to go out and go get it, and things like that. And they've opened my mind, and they've really helped me expand all my businesses, especially my tax firm. You know, I expect my tax firm to be my first $1 million business within the next 5 years or so. So it definitely has opened my mind, you know, expanding my reach and things like that. So I'll be sharing with you some of the specific principles that I apply in my life today. So just really want to share that with people in order for them to gain a better understanding of how these books can actually apply to your life. And believe it or not, I actually run 8 different businesses or 8 different companies right now. And they're all in the same general industry. You have some in real estate, personal finance, taxes, car rental. They're all within the same general industry. The people, the service business. With my tax firm, of course, being the #1 business or the centerpiece behind all these businesses. And so before this year, I honestly had 0 registered businesses, or before September of last year, which was when I quit my full-time job, I didn't really have a business. I was doing taxes on the side and things like that, but I didn't really have a business. I was just working on the side, doing some side hustling. But now I run 8 full-blown out businesses, which some of them don't even require much of my time. Some of them probably require 1 hour a week of my time. And my tax firm probably requires, give or take, 20 hours a week. As time goes on, it's going to go down as I bring in more people. Now I have virtual assistants, I have virtual receptionists, I have a bunch of different people within the company, independent contractors, just different aspects of the company that don't really require much of my time anymore. And this is how I was able to go to Ghana for about 2.5 weeks without really a dent in any of my businesses. So to get right into it, so my top 5 personal finance books, and this is in no particular order, this is not any biasness or anything like that. This is just the 15 books that I've read this year, and I've also read some in the before this year. But the 15 personal finance books, out of those 15, these are the top 5 that I have. So I have Rich Dad Poor Dad, I have Cash Flow Quadrant, I have The Power of Broke, The 4-Hour Work Week, and How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, some of these books are not true personal finance books, but I think that you have to, in order to be successfully, in order to have that financial security, in order to run a successful business, you have to have, essentially have to have these 5 core books under your belt. It doesn't mean that you won't run a successful business if you don't read these books. And by the way, I don't actually sit down and read them. I listen to audiobooks, which is essentially is reading. So I don't have a bunch of books laying around. I do have a few books laying around home, but I listen to audiobooks. I use a site called Audible, which is an Amazon company, and I get my books, let's say maybe $10 a book. Really cheap, also tax deductible because I'm enhancing my education. So that's something to keep in mind. These are audiobooks. Some of these books range from, let's say, 5 hours to, I've read a book that was about 10 hours long. And I'm about to read a book, a real estate book that's about 15 hours long. So these books can vary. And like I said, I spend about an hour a day reading. I read 7 days a week, and I try to read during my downtime. So when I'm brushing my teeth, when I'm preparing some food, or when I'm eating or something like that, I just listen to the audiobooks. That way my mind is always going. And then as I'm not listening to these books, or as I don't have downtime, I actually work or I teach some of these principles in these books. And then by reading these 5 books, if your business doesn't go to the next level, then I don't know what you're doing. So now to get into the actual content or some of the details or the summaries of these books. So Rich Dad Poor Dad was written by a man known as Robert Kiyosaki, this book is rated the #1 personal finance book in the world. So that means a lot. And when I read this book, it truly changed my life. I felt like I had no clue what personal finance was until I read this book. And to be honest, I wrote some articles. This was early on, but I wrote a few, say 1 or 2 articles before reading this book, which was a huge mistake. So I had to go back and actually edit some of my articles in order to properly reflect some of these principles in these books. And I actually apply these principles to my everyday life now. So Rich Dad Poor Dad essentially helps you think like a rich person. And by rich, you don't necessarily have to have money to be rich. By rich, I mean mindset. I mean the ability to think, the ability to grow. You just have to have a growth mindset. Somebody who's a forward thinker, a progressor. Just somebody who's always looking to get better. You're a rich person. You don't necessarily have to have money. It's going to be better if you have money as a rich person. But to be rich means that you have a rich man's mentality. Whenever you think about your money in a bank account, some people try to go out and spend it. That's not what a rich person would do. A rich person is going to invest it because they understand that it's going to grow and it's going to provide them wealth and health and stability in the future. And then as it keeps growing, they could take a chunk of that and go out and spend it. But at the end of the day, they were able to put some money away and they're still spending it at the same time. And so essentially Robert Kiyosaki, he has two dads. So not biologically, of course, but he has two dads in the book. He has a rich dad and a poor dad. This is actually a true story. So his poor dad was a school teacher, very educated, highly educated, made a lot of money, but unfortunately, for some reason, he could barely make ends meet. He could barely spend time with his family. He was always working. And so a point to that is that you don't necessarily have to have a lot of money. You can, or in other words, you can make a lot of money and still be poor. If that makes sense. You can make over $100,000 a year and still be poor. The reason why is because if you're not using your money in the most financially advantageous ways, if you're not investing it, if you're not seeking out mentors or enhancing your financial education, you're eventually going to go poor. And this time, I mean financially poor. And so since you have a poor man's mentality, even though you have a lot of money, you might be financially rich, but you have a poor man's mentality, eventually you're going to be financially poor because you have a poor man's mentality. And so I always tell people I would much rather be financially poor and have a rich man's mentality than the other way around, because I have more potential than that rich man or that financially rich person who doesn't have any financial literacy whatsoever. And that's why when a lot of people win a lottery, they end up going bankrupt. When somebody gets a big windfall or something like that, they don't know what to do with it, so they go bankrupt. It happens all the time. People have a lot of money but just don't know how to manage it. And this is the case with rich dad, poor dad. So the poor dad, he was making well over $100,000 a year, had a great life, big house, but unfortunately as he kept making more money, he just kept spending it. So it becomes a rat race. You make more money, you buy a bigger house, a bigger car. So now all your money, as your income is growing, so are your expenses. So no money is being really put towards retirement. You have economic crashes that happen, so your money is going to be wiped out. So if essentially his poor dad wasn't enhancing his financial education. He was very smart, he was book smart, but he wasn't financially intelligent. So what happened was he tried to start his own business, and essentially he just went poor. He went bankrupt essentially. And so just a prime example. And then on the flip side, we have Rich Dad, who was Robert Kiyosaki's friends. That was his dad. So Rich Dad was a business owner. He was a big business owner. He ran a restaurant. And then he was financially secure. And he had a lot of time to spend with his family because he wasn't always working. And now here's another problem with poor dad. He was always working, but as he brought money in, it was going right out. So it's like the money never came in the first place. And so really that's what this book teaches you, is that it doesn't matter how much money you make. It really matters how financially educated you are, and just applying some of the different principles, some of the different rich principles in your life. It teaches you why being an employee might not be the most rewarding career. Not only do you work a lot, not only do you work the most probably, but you're going to end up paying a lot of money in taxes. And so, the typical employee is about 40% out the door in taxes. And so that's why he was, mainly that's why he said you might not want to be an employee, because one, you're going to pay a lot of taxes, and two, it's just not, you're not really building, you might be building wealth, but at the same time, it's a hard way to build wealth, by building somebody else's dream, essentially. And then it teaches you how to escape the rat race. So So Robert's poor dad was a prime example of the whole rat race, and that money was coming in and then going right out the door to bills, his mortgages and things. I would say you should definitely apply towards your lifestyle. So things like paying yourself first, good debt versus bad debt. Good debt being money, things that put money in your pocket. Things like an investment property, and then you have bad debt, which essentially is things that take money out of your pocket, which is like a mortgage. And so and then he also talks about the difference between an asset and a liability. And essentially, an asset is something. Basically, an asset can be go hand in hand with good debt versus bad debt. Asset is something that puts money in your pocket. Liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. And so his poor dad kept accumulating liabilities, and then money was always being taken out of his pocket, which essentially drained his net worth and forced him to essentially go bankrupt. So really, that's my #1 personal finance book out there. It's rated the #1 personal finance book in the world. So I highly recommend that it be your first book that you read if you haven't read any personal finance books yet. It's really going to pave the way for you as you become a wealth builder. And then my next book on the list is Cash Flow Quadrant, which was also written by Robert Kiyosaki. And this book is really the part 2 of Rich Dad Poor Dad. So with Cash Flow Quadrant, you have what's known as the 4 quadrants. So on the left side of the quadrant, or the quote-unquote the side you don't want to be on, is the employee, which is the E side of the quadrant. The small business owner, which is the S side of the quadrant. And then you have the right side of the quadrant, which is where the rich people are, which are big business owners like Apple, Microsoft, that good stuff. And then you have investors, which are somebody like Warren Buffett, who pays very little in taxes. And really, the reason why you want to stay away from the left side, basically, and you want to keep towards the right side, because that's where a lot of wealth is built, is on the right side. On the left side, unfortunately, you're going to end up paying a lot of taxes. And so as an employee, money's going to come in, but you're going to have to pay a lot of different taxes and things like that. And then on the right side, they pay less taxes and they work less. So if you think about somebody like Jeff Bezos, who's he's CEO of Amazon, founder of Amazon. You have the Bill Gates. You have you just have a whole bunch of these people who are making so much money, but they probably don't even work that much. They probably work very little. If you think about somebody like the guy who founded McDonald's, he founded McDonald's as a franchise system. And so what he did was he built a system that a lot of business owners can replicate and pay him at the same time, while enhancing the brand image, just a bunch of these different things. They talk about Coca-Cola, how they only sold a very small amount of cans, and now they sell billions and billions of cans out there. So really, it teaches you about how to become a big business owner, just because, for one, you're probably going to work less, and then you're also going to pay less in taxes, which is always a good thing to have. And then you have the investor, this is my favorite side of the quadrant. And really, investors are somebody like Warren Buffett, who pays very little in taxes. Last time I checked, his tax rate was about 17% effectively, which is very low compared to the 40% that he's supposed to be paying. So investors really, when the government rewards you, or the government rewards people that invest into things. If you buy a property, you get to write off depreciation. If you invest in a stock and it goes bad, you get to write it off no matter what. Let's say you own a business and you're buying more equipment, you can write all of that off. So really, you can save a lot, and you're also essentially living a more rewarding career because you're not working that much. Think about an investor like Warren Buffett. Does he really work? Probably not. He's over 85 years old right now, and he's still able to be a CEO of his own company, Berkshire Hathaway. And so just little things like that, it's just mind-blowing. But also, one thing, if you want to be on the right side of the quadrant, you have to have a good system in place. So something like McDonald's, franchise system. Somebody can come in, and then they'll be taught, they'll be groomed, they'll be coached and things like that. and they can replicate what all the different franchise owners do at McDonald's. And so that way they've built a system that, you know, McDonald's CEO or founder or whatever, they don't need to be there. They just have to watch over the business from time to time. They can go on vacation for a whole year. And really the definition of a big business, according to Robert Kiyosaki, is if you can go on vacation for a whole year, come back, and your business is still growing, you have a big business, essentially. And so most rich people are essentially on the right side or on that side of the quadrant. And so this is good for business owners looking to take things to the next level. I do believe that you might want to have some sort of aspiration to start a business in order to really get the most out of this book. Because Rich Dad Poor Dad, you don't have to own a business, you know, to enjoy the book. But with this book, you believe that you absolutely must want to or desire to own a business in order to enjoy it. So really it's good. I recommend it for all my business owners out there. And then my third book on the list is what's known as The Power of Broke, which is written by Daymond John. Now this book, I actually recently read it. I was actually in Ghana when I read this, and this is an excellent book. I mean, it really teaches you how to turn something out of nothing. And it really teaches you how being broke is probably one of the best motivators in the world. When your back is against the wall, when everybody is doubting you, when you don't have any money, what do you go out to do? You just go out and go get it. So The Power of Broke teaches you how to really just get fired up. And I can apply this principle to my life. I've personally never really been broke before, but broke in a sense, financially at least. But I've been broke emotionally. You know, when I quit my full-time job, I was sort of broken because I didn't have that consistent stream of income, so I had to go out and go get it. I had to find ways to make money. And now I run 8 different businesses, with my tax firm being the number one. Before last year, I didn't run any businesses. So really The Power of Broke just teaches you how to really just get up, wake up, and just go out and go get it. You know, that's my philosophy, especially as a business owner. You just have to have that grinding gear. You know, just go out, go get it, and also start small and think big. McDonald's didn't get to where it is today, you know, overnight. It takes time, it takes passion, it takes dedication, it takes all of those things. So just start small, you know, start with a few clients here and there, but think big. You have to think bigger than your biggest competitor. And then also how some of the most successful entrepreneurs, so if you think about Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, all started in their garages, you know, Facebook. Just small ideas, and they all started in their garages. And now look where they are today, billion-dollar companies. I mean, billions and billions of dollars, with Apple almost being $1 trillion company. And then just ensure that you don't get complacent. You know, every time we reach a high point in life, some people just want to get complacent because they feel like they've done it, they've been there, they've done that. So they just stop working, or they just stop doing all the things that got them to where they need to be. It's like marrying somebody and then you just stop loving the person. You know, well, in order to actually live a fulfilling life, in order to have a fulfilling marriage, you actually have to keep up with it. Same thing applies here in business and money and things like that. You always have to keep up, and that's what being ahead is all about. That's what the rich always do. The mentally rich is that they always keep up with the trends. If you think about it, all these things are about trending. You know, Bitcoin is one of the hottest trends out there right now, so you need to get on with it. And then ultimately, this is a great book. It motivates people who really don't have anything. You know, like me, I didn't really have much. You know, I wasn't poor or anything. I wasn't, you know, in financial distress. But at the same time, when I left my full-time job, I didn't have anything, really. I just had me, I had my credentials, I had my family, I had an idea, I had all those things. And now to be able to run 8 different businesses, you know, I would say that's a motivation right there. And then my next book on the list is The 4-Hour Workweek, written by Tim Ferriss. So this book is it's a bit, you know, you have to really, you know, be a little open-minded to understand what's truly being said in this book. So really what this book teaches you is all about efficiency and how to create more time with no time, how to become a business owner who doesn't rely on working in the business. So this is the true working on your business and not in your business type book. So it teaches you how to automate your life through things like virtual assistants, virtual receptionists, virtual meetings. I mean, this is what I do. As a matter of fact, over 90%, say about 90% of my business is done virtually. So I don't really meet with clients in person anymore. I don't really do taxes in person anymore. A lot of the things that I do are virtually. That's how I came out with a mobile app and things like that. Now I have a virtual receptionist. If you call my number, you're actually going to get sent to my receptionist, who's going to try to get back to me. Or if they cannot get to me, they take a message and then I call the person back. So just different efficiencies like that. When your business no longer requires you, when you can go on vacation and not have to worry about your business, I think you're doing pretty good. And then I also have virtual assistants who do certain things like, send out invoice reminders or maybe handle a small task. I actually do have a real assistant now, but they don't actually do much. It's doing an international program that I have a partnership with a company that does that. And you can get virtual assistants for as low as $4 an hour. I've even heard $2 an hour. I mean, these are people living in foreign countries, who need work. A dollar can stretch a long way in these different countries. So they'll accept a lower pay, $4 an hour, and they'll work harder than somebody who's in America. So that's a huge plus. And then essentially it teaches you how to negotiate flexible working arrangements. So this book is not just for business owners, but this can also be for maybe an employee who maybe is working too much in office, but you're one of the most talented people there. So you can actually request a flexible working arrangement where maybe you only come to the office 3 days a week, and then in 2 days you might be overseas, you might be at home, something like that. And then also how to implement a good system in place where your business no longer requires you. And that's what all these books really teach you. And then really how to live a rewarding lifestyle, one where you can travel, spend more time with your family, spend more time with, just doing the things that you really love doing while still running your business, while having people working in your business. And then always ensure good customer satisfaction. That is probably the number one thing in business, is that make sure that your customers are always satisfied. And then if your customers are giving you a headache, just fire them. And by firing them, just nicely tell them, hey, I understand that we had this business relationship. Unfortunately, I don't feel comfortable moving forward, and so I would like to part ways, and I hope you understand. Just different things like that. It's a great book if you want to maximize your time, become more efficient as a business owner or as an employee or anything like that. And then my last but certainly not least book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is my second favorite book out there right now. It's not really a personal finance book. It's more of a development, entrepreneurship, those type of books. And what it really teaches you is how to deal with people, the psychology of people, how to not necessarily control somebody's mind, but how to put yourself in an advantageous position where both parties are gaining something, or they feel like they're gaining something. It's how to cater to a certain crowd, how to not overreact when it comes to certain things. Just be calm and just keep the person calm. Just keep a very calm nature. Don't always try to scream or just do these crazy things. That's not the way to do business. People like to work with people that they're calm, they feel comfortable talking to. And really it teaches you how to make your customers happy. Just do the things that, not necessarily that they want to do, but just do the right things for them. At the end of the day, we're in business, and so nobody wants to feel cheated or short-handed. And so that's one thing that this book really teaches you, is that how to add the most value to your clients by essentially understanding their needs and their psychology. You can apply this to marriage. You can apply this to every aspect of life, how to win friends and influence people. And another very great point, this is actually my biggest point in the book, you should never argue with somebody, because people's egos are very high. They're always looking to get an upper edge. They're always looking to get the last word out. People always feel the need to get the last word. like it really matters. You know, so when somebody brings up an argument, the best way to win that argument is to not argue at all. And that was my biggest takeaway from that book. And to this day, I've actually never argued with someone for about 2 years now. You know, now I just say, thank you for bringing up the conversation, but I no longer want to talk about it. And you just call it that. You always want to thank somebody too. You always want to thank them, you know, just be polite and just different things like that. You know, just be a human being. And this is all business principles, but this is really being a human being. And then how to get someone to talk more than you do. Essentially, when you're talking to somebody, always try to get them to talk more about themselves, because people love talking about themselves. So when you can get somebody to talk more about themselves, make them feel good, you're more than likely to gain an upper edge, or you know, whatever you're looking to get out. Maybe a lower price, maybe you're looking to boost your prices with a client. Just how to be polite, how to be a human being, how to think like a smart person. This is a great book, How to Win Customers, how to keep customers, which is very important, how to have your customers become referral sources. So this is an absolutely great book. I plan to reread this book, so it's absolutely amazing. So in conclusion, really, these books have changed my life. Ever since I've read them, they've really, and every new book that I'm reading, right now I'm reading a book on wholesaling, which is a real estate strategy, and just the different ways to wholesale properties and things like that. I'm getting pretty big into real estate, so it's only right for me to read real estate books. They've allowed me to think in more innovative ways and not just think one-minded. And I just think like somebody who just wants to run a small business. Now I want to run big businesses that are bigger than the H&R Blocks and the TurboTaxes. And I apply these principles to my life today. So that's really it for the presentation. I hope you all get a chance to read some of these books. These are excellent books. It's not just for business folks, but it's for people who are looking to develop as a human being. So thank you all for tuning in to WGHC 98.3 FM, your voice, your music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I look forward to talking to you more.
And today I gave you more time because I like the topic. I really do. I really love it. And make sure you go out there and get your merchandise. There's a goodie. I know I shared it on your page. I think you've seen it.
Yes.
You can contact our accountant, Jeff Badu, if you want more t-shirts. It's QuickBooks. You can pay electronically. You can pay in cash. You can pay check. Whatever it is.
Bitcoin.
Yes, whatever it is. And you get, it's tax deductible as well. Yeah. So it's the donation rate. The girls t-shirts are from, I think, $22 to $25, and the guys t-shirt are from $17 to $22, I believe. So WGHC, we are making an impact in the community. You cannot say we are not making an impact. Definitely, we just had our annual CACON. It was an awareness to fight against gun violence and violent activities. So, we are definitely making an impact in the community. And when we say it is your voice, we are utilizing the voice. We are utilizing this platform as a voice. The end of this month, there's a lot of festivals going on. We have the Igbo Festival, we have the Ghana Festival, we have the Bantu Festival. The Bantu Festival is pretty much trying to say that it's another African festival. We have the African Festival, and then we have the Bantu Festival. So the entire continent is going to be there. But it's another conversation that Miss Chichi O brought up, a conversation that we need to have. We that are the next generation, we that are making moves, like look at what you're doing, Jeff. Your skill set, your education, your profession, you're bringing it back to the community. And so we need to have that conversation that why can't we bring it all together and utilize or benefit from every angle, So it's a conversation that is we are preparing to have on this platform, this same platform, this radio. station. So for those that are listening, wherever you are, if you want WJC merchandise, again, this is a station that's committed to making a difference in the community. It's not just a radio station just to hear our voices and good music and all of that, but all the programs that we bring, such as Money Talks with Jeff Badu, is to make you progress the positive way, actually. Not just to progress anyhow, but progress in the way that you see yourself, getting to where that you need to be, so that is what it is. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in our community that we look up to. Mokola Supermarket, Carnation Supermarket, Grace African Restaurant. These are all entrepreneurs that has set the pace before us, and we appreciate them so much, and we want to emulate and we want to continue that legacy, and we are doing so. So wherever you are, if you want to wear WJC merchandise that will remind you to continue to promote the positive African identity and to promote awareness, that will speak volumes of Africans everywhere. Because now Africans, we the bomb right now. Yeah, the dashiki, there's no more dashikis. The Angelina. What was Angelina? Now they're even doing it on runways. You see. So Africa is the center of the attention now. It's the center of attention right now. The China people are looking at us. United States of America are looking at us to benefit. And I like that. That looks so good. So yeah, Black Jesus is getting ready to get online and setting up his equipment, and it's making me look good in the camera right now, man. I feel that. Okay. So keep in mind that WGAC, this is what we are here for. It is your voice, your music, your station. I just want to say one few words, and then I'm out of here. And then my man Black Jesus take it over with the Ghana demographic. Now, Black, Charlie, you speak more Ghana lately, man. Nowadays you are going to the English too much, Bring back the Ghana. Bring back the Ghana. Love the Ghana. Twebole. Yeah, but sometimes some of the issues and some of the topics that you speak of need to be, very diverse. So I understand why the English comes in, but Ake is specifically created for the Akans, and Voga is created for. Oh no, Ake is created for the Gans, and Voga is created for the Akans, and Money Talks is created for everybody. So because you need to get your finances straight. Yeah,
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, right? I know. Ghana, everywhere. So again, go ahead and get your merchandise, WJC merchandise at facebook.com/WJC98.3 FM. You can also go on our website, make the payment there, the donation payment at WJCFM.org. You can also reach out to our accountant, Jeff Badu's page. You can go to his website or Facebook, and if you request for one, he will send you a QuickBook invoice. Make the payment, send in your address, your name, send in your name and your size, your address if you cannot pick it up, if we need to ship it, and if there should be some shipping fee included, we'll include that too as well. Depends on where you are, because if you're in Afghanistan, it's very far. It's very, very far. All right, so this is what I want to leave with you. Believe this, that not everyone out there is ruling for your success. Okay, so stop depending and trying to rely on people ruling you on. Not everybody out there wants your success. And most of the time, people that criticize you, your critics, sometimes are very right. Sometimes they are right. And them being right is not saying that they are right just for being right's sake. But they're being right maybe to fuel you. Maybe to put some fuel in you, to motivate you to do more, to prove yourself and them wrong. And maybe to prove yourself, that this is exactly what you need to do. And this is what God has blessed you with. So again, not everybody out there wants your success. That you must know. So be original. Be in your own what we call in Akan language, diwulemu. Have your own strategy. Have your own standard. And again, being original, nobody and no one can take that away from you. Believe you me, when you're original, no one can take that away from you. But when you want to compete and try to copy and try to steal here and there, then you are not original. So then anybody can take that away from you. But when you're original, it is yours. No one. They actually tend to copy you, and they can't even do it the same. So again, not everyone out there is ruling for your success. So stop relying on the community if they're not listening, if they're not looking at you. Stop looking at your family members if they're not ruling you on or whatever. Because if some of your family members probably don't want your success. You know, you're in the circle. You know, so again, just, you know, have some kind of connection with the divine power that is the Most High God, and have Him rule you on. The best person, or the best support that you can get is from the Most High God. Amen. And I'll leave it at that. My time is up. Again, every Thursday right here on WJC 98.3 FM, our community accountant, the best accountant that you can ever have. Very patient, very gentle, and you know, hey, he got more than one business, I'll tell you that much. And he's looking to get more business. So my man, my young brother, my family, Jeff Bedu, you can catch him here every Thursday from 7:15 to about 7:45, and then he, you know, hangs around to chat a little bit. Follow him on Facebook, follow him on Instagram, follow him on Twitter, follow him on LinkedIn, Snapchat, all the social.
Yeah, you do.
You do all your social handles. He's there. All right, so a big thank you to all my followers, all my listeners, all Voga. Listen, we have a Voga Facebook page. I haven't been on there for a very long time, so I don't even know if it's still operating, but it's still there. Voga, Voices of Ghanaians Abroad. You can follow us. We have a Facebook page. Black Jesus is my Facebook handle. Black Jesus for Life TV is my Facebook handle. I usually don't show my faces, and this is the political show for the Ghanaian community. But today, we just wanted to give you some insight, some you know, small knowledge here and there to keep you going. Coming up is Ake with Black Jesus, and he makes it so smooth and he makes it so lively. WGAC, everything that we have is authentic. Everything that we have is original. All our men are handsome and good workers and just do what they do, and we make it. Our females here are so beautiful and they're all empresses. So it is what it is. You know, hey, all you can do is love us. You can't really hate us because you don't have a reason to. All you can do is just love us.
Sometimes you need some haters too.
All right, I'm not 4 minutes. I was in your minister said, "No, my shop of Ake and I pay. Yami Adoma, a chance you are a chlam one, some baby polo. And Yasam Ketwa, Yamay, Ombe Queen's young. A china relationship topic. I'm a deba power. They're Tawaso. But they didn't know, bro. We didn't know if you watching the Donald from NK. Humble, I am large and I'm in charge. Until we meet again, united we stand, divided we fall. Keep that going, and we will also make sure that we get there. Nyame any ye boafo obehwe ye nyina so. Meet again. Have a wonderful evening. Bye bye for now.